Hey there, Smoke Master D coming at you with another video. This time I'm going to talk to you about my decision to buy another direct heat cooker and what all went into my thought process for that. Now, I already have a few direct heat cookers. I started off with the pit barrel cooker, and I also have this Super 55 drum smoker. Both of those are really amazing cookers that have put out really good food for me. And I also have a Gabby's grill, which is an attachment to a Weber kettle, which I guess you could also call a direct heat cooker if you wanted to. But it makes it so that I have a Santa Maria style grill on top of a Weber kettle. Now, why aren't these enough for me? Why am I going to something else? So to understand my thought process of how I made my decision, you really have to kind of understand some of the drawbacks with some of the direct heat cookers that I do have. Gabby's grill is a great introductory level Santa Maria style grill. I've had some really good experiences with it. It uses whole wood, which I like. And it's also very easy and convenient in a sense. I do have to sort of drag it around my yard. If I kept the kettle here and I kept it here, it'd be easier. But you know, you just throw the wood in there, make your fire, and you're cooking. So I like that aspect of it. The things that take away from it, some are just things about Santa Maria style grills. The wind factor, you know. It can really throw off a cook you may want to do if the wind is blowing too hard because your food is sitting up in open air. Specifically for the Gabby's grill, a few times my food is rolled off, so it's not really the most stable cooking surface ever. And the other thing, just generally to all these style grills, is that because it's in the open air, there's no concentration of smoke flavor. Now there's some, but it's not exactly the same thing that you get when you close in that smoke and heat environment, right? Which brings me to, these drum smokers that are enclosed. So part of their problem is, I guess, that they're sort of too enclosed because getting to the fuel down here, all the way at the bottom, is difficult. There's no sort of access down here. So you have to go in from the top, which is sort of a hassle even when it's not running, but even more so if it is running, if you wanted to add fuel or do anything of that nature, right? And of course, there's no way that you could make it really work with whole wood. You have to use charcoal. You know, you can put some chunks in there, but burning whole wood is really something that I wanted to do for direct heat cooking. And so that's kind of how I shifted towards this thought process of what cooker should I get. And I do want to clarify that some drum smokers do have access doors, right? The door's usually sort of halfway up the smoker, not at the very bottom. And the reason for that is because they all use, as far as I know, they all seem to use charcoal baskets, right? So the basket itself is sort of a limiting factor. So wherever the top of that basket sits, you're sort of having to go over that. So in some of them, you know, that door is like right here. Maybe you have another grate down here that you can access on the lower side, and also the fuel. But one thing that isn't really a part of that is using whole wood in any sort of sense. And you may be wondering, where did I get this idea of whole wood, right? So I use whole wood in the offset smoker, but what about using whole wood in direct heat cooking, right? I just think that whole wood is the most authentic way to barbecue. Charcoal's great, but I feel like whole wood is better, right? And so there's a tradition of using whole wood, even of making coals with something like a burn barrel, right? And shoveling the coals in. So that is the experience that I want to have from a direct heat cooker. And I didn't feel like I could have it quite as authentically with a drum smoker, and I didn't feel like I was quite getting it with the Santa Maria style grill either. So that's what sort of put me on this quest. Now, this brings me to the beginning of sort of my quest in this direction. I did a few episodes on direct heat smoker grills. You may have watched them. And a few of those kind of started off in my mind. Like, you know, I like that, right? The dumpster was one early on that I really liked and circled back to at times, and we'll talk about that. But some of the great things about it are that, you know, it has a good size grate. You know, it's not the larger one that TMG makes, but certainly enough size for me, I think. And it has that second level grate, and I didn't like it as much for, you know, cooking food, although I could. But for putting on coals and having high heat grilling, you just pull that out, shovel the coals on, and all of a sudden you're searing your steaks or whatever it is you want. So it really sort of made it more versatile in my mind. But another grill in that series, smoker grill, the Slinger and the Trolley 3-foot from 1904 Grillz, stood out to me in a different way because they had fire brick on the bottom of the smoker. And I was really impressed by that fire brick because it takes in heat so well and sort of evens out the heat in the smoker grill. And also, you know, it doesn't rust. So if you're having direct heat cooking, that means open coals, that means juices falling down, sizzling. Some of that juice may get to the bottom depending on where the coals are at any one point, you know? And that sort of interaction is going to create something that could be corrosive, and it's going to be worse on steel. So I like the idea of fire brick, and that is how I went towards the Slinger and the Trolley 3-foot. So far that I actually got quotes from them for shipping. Now, the shipping turned me away a little bit. I felt like it was on the high end, especially just for the Slinger, which I feel like is small. So the shipping wasn't too different between the Slinger and the Trolley 3-foot, which was kind of pushing me in the direction of the larger pit. But, you know, I didn't feel like I was on the fence. Do I need that much space? And then I was like, well, if I want 2-zone cooking, it would be good to have that much space. But in the end, I didn't have the money then. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to stick with what I have. And I tabled it. Side note, selling the Belfab offset smoker allowed me to make the purchase I'm discussing today. So after that, another pit caught my attention. And this one I've never talked about on any video before. It is a direct heat smoker grill Santa Maria combo from Shirley Fabrication. So it's 2-foot by 4-foot in dimension. So easily over 1,000 square inches of cooking space. And I thought to myself when I saw this is it. This is the ultimate direct heat cooking machine, right? Now, some other features that it has is, you know, it has rails for a charcoal basket. So you put it in at one level or you take it out and put it in at another level. It's got 2 doors, and at the top it's got its grate. And you can raise that charcoal basket up and down on either side to do whatever sort of cooking you want to do, right? And then on top, it has the tower, and you can pull that Santa Maria style grate up and down too. So if you want to do direct heat smoker grilling, you can do that. Or if you want to do Santa Maria style grilling, you can do that too. For a second there, I thought, you know, this is really it. Now, Tyler Shirley quoted me the price of $4,100 without the rotisserie. So, side note, I'm not really a rotisserie guy. I know I did a rotisserie on this cooker, a brisket actually. And while it was good, I've never had rotisseried. I've rotisseried a few things, and it's never produced food that I thought was, wow, this is so much better than anything else I've made without the rotisserie. And it's a little bit complicated, and it leaves a huge hole in your food, especially brisket. So, you know, while it's nice, and maybe I'll revisit it in the future, I just didn't want the rotisserie for that. So the price was $4,100, and very much on the higher side of what I was willing to pay. And of course, I didn't have that much money, so, you know, it's kind of a waiting game. So why did I ultimately decide against this Shirley cooker? Well, a few things. You know, when you have time to think about a purchase, things occur to you. One was that I don't care nearly as much for Santa Maria style cooking as I might have previously thought. You know, all those drawbacks that were really just part of Santa Maria style grilling to begin with kind of started coming to me. What I really like is that enclosed smoke flavor. So when I thought of the Shirley combo, the Santa Maria style cooking part wasn't really what I wanted. And then when I thought about the charcoal shelf drawer system, and the fact that it didn't have the, you know, fire brick on the bottom, it occurred to me that from a direct heat smoker grill standpoint, it wasn't really what I wanted either. So, you know, the only thing going for it then was that it had both together. But it seemed then to me that I was making a huge compromise. So I decided, you know, I'm gonna rethink this. Besides, it was, like I said, pretty pricey. And then the next thing was that I was making my last video on stainless steel charcoal grills. And that episode was totally around kind of the Chud grill. It was the inspiration for it. So while I was doing that episode, it occurred to me how much better the Chud Box is to the Chud grill. You know, while you can do smoking and direct heat smoker grill action on the Chud Box, you can't do that on the Chud grill. But on the Chud Box, you can grill. There is a basket that they have. And then, you know, this sliding plate with, you know, a grate and a griddle here that you can slide, that just makes it even better to grill on the Chud Box, because now you can access the charcoal and whatever your fuel is below there by sliding the plate. So, for a moment there, I was like, wow, the Chud Box. You know, it's perfectly sized for one charcoal chimney worth of charcoal to heat it up. It's family size, so, you know, just the right size. The thing about it is that it's so user-friendly, so inviting, right? It's the kind of cooking equipment that you would use a lot. So there's this extra value of being able to use it more frequently just because it's so easy. Right? And, you know, maybe I would have gotten the Chud Box, except that another thought started occurring to me when I was thinking about all these things, right? And that was some words that Chris from Lone Star Grillz said in his introductory video to El Patron, their direct heat smoker grill. And the phrase that he used was reverse Santa Maria. And at the time, you know, way back when I made those first episodes, I thought it was kind of crazy, or, you know, I was just like, whatever. But as I thought about it and what I wanted from variable height cooking, I suddenly realized that maybe that was it. The chamber is still enclosed, but I can change the height between the grate and the fire with a crank, just like a Santa Maria style grill. It has the fire brick that I want on the bottom, and I can take out the fire grates so that I have that, you know, direct heat smoker grilling action that I want, just like on the 1904 pits. So really, as I started thinking about it, I realized more and more this is the perfect direct heat cooker for me. And that is what I ultimately bought. And, you know, it will be coming to me in about 6 weeks or more. That's what the website says. Hurricane Beryl just took out the electricity in their plant, so I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit on the longer side. But yeah, I'm super excited to see how well this thing cooks for me. You know, it's just a bonus that it has a pizza door. The sides, you know, enclose it, so even when you open that lid, you have, you know, the cooking you want. Like for that Santa Maria style, you could open the lid up and open, you know, the fire access door. Do things with the fire down here by lowering it down and raising it up, and still have wind shielding, right? If you did want full Santa Maria style openness. So really, this thing, it feels like it does everything that I could want it to do. So I'm super excited. Like I said, when it comes, I'll give you the full tour and walkthrough of my El Patron. And, you know, I hope that you'll be there with me for that episode. That's all for this episode. I hope you found it helpful maybe for your own decision. Like I want to say, all these other smoker grills and grill options that I've been talking about, maybe they are right for you, whereas they weren't right for me. So don't feel like I'm putting them down specifically. Even this Super 55 drum smoker makes great food. In fact, most of these things make great food. But what works for you? That's the question. So I hope you find that instructive. That's it. And as always, go get your smoke on, y'all.